I'm glad to see you here.
Yes, we are fine.
Very good. Thank you. Good morning and good evening there, everybody.
Good afternoon. Yeah.
So is everybody good there? You're doing well?
Good morning to everybody.
Yes, we are doing fine.
And good evening or good afternoon.
It's good afternoon here.
Yeah. Fatiha, I cannot hear you. You are muted.
Okay, nice.
All right.
Hi. Hi. How are you?
Very good. Is it
Thank you.
afternoon there? Afternoon or morning?
Yeah. No, not the mid.
Mid-afternoon. All right. Midday.
Yeah, midday. And today is the first day of fasting.
Oh.
Yes.
So are you okay? Good. You can still attend and doing well.
Yeah.
Are you doing well?
Yes, it's the first day, and we have to work as every day. No change, just our eating meals and everything changed.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you for letting me know.
Yeah,
Appreciate that.
Thank
And when is the end of Ramadan? When is the end?
The end is one day, but we use chain to prepare some very special dishes to invite family to put on traditional clothes, Moroccan one.
Very good.
And, yes, and especially for kids, it's a special day.
There. Wow. Thank you. Great. Must be a great evening tonight, right?
Yes, alhamdulillah.
Thank you. All right, it's 8:01. Is
I think you can start.
Yes, okay. We can start.
here. Ben, you want to start the session? Hello, Ben.
Hello, Vanji. I didn't hear you. Please come again.
It's 8:02.
Thank you very much. Would you like me to start the session?
Yes. You are the moderator for the session, correct?
Yes, correct.
Okay, so let me just welcome everybody.
This meeting is being recorded.
All right. Welcome, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. My name is Evangeline Alosilha, and it's my privilege and great pleasure to welcome you to the Africa session. We know that you have been meeting for a long time and preparing this, and thank you so much for the effort of Dr. Olu. We call him Ben. Thank you for your leadership, Ben, and thank you for all the members of the committee. And I just want to welcome everybody here this morning or this evening, this afternoon. So on behalf of GARD, I welcome you, and I want to open the session, the Africa Regional Africa session. So with this, I will give the floor to Ben as it has been opened. Thank you, Ben.
Thank you, Vanji. Would it be good to request for the sponsors a video?
Yes,
If it could be played, yes.
I can share the video. Hang on. Just give me a minute. So that's the video. We express our appreciation to our sponsors. And I would just like to introduce to you the Global Alliance for Rapid Diagnostics, which we fondly call GARD. GARD's vision is to prevent illness, save lives, and improve quality of life through rapid diagnostics. Our mission is to develop portable, affordable, accessible, and globally deployable nanotechnology-based biosensors for rapid and early detection of infectious and antimicrobial diseases in populations who need help the most, but can afford the least. We define sustainable health to include human body and everything else that maintains it: safe and nutritious food, clean water, and a clean environment. So with that, I would encourage you to, we welcome you to become part of GARD. There is no registration fee. We are a group of scientists and practitioners of equals. We call this the peer-to-peer network of equals. There is no hierarchy. We just want to work together to solve global problems. So with that, I extend our sincere appreciation to the organizers and also a warm invitation for you to become members of GARD. Let me know if you are interested. You can chat, put a chat on the interest on the chat, and we will take it from there. Thank you, Ben, and back to you, Ben.
Thank you very much, Vanji, for inviting us to this segment of the GARD, which has been going on for the last almost 4 days now. We have had opportunities to learn a lot from the short courses that we had the other day and the interactions regarding the BOLOG and the SAP programs. And we're continuing today with the African segment. At this juncture, I would like to invite every single one of us to this session. Africa, as you can imagine, is a huge continent with more than 52 countries. We try our best to ensure that we have a good representation of Africa so that we are able to present a common front in such a forum as this one. Today, I'm delighted to be your host. My name is Bernard Olo from the Department of Dairy and Food Science and Technology from Egerton University, which is based in Kenya. I am also currently leading the GARD African team. Today, in this particular assignment, I'm going to be assisted by 2 colleagues whom I'd like to say hello quickly so that we can be able to hear them. One is Dr. Chilea from Cameroon. Dr. Chilea, if you can hear me, please say hello to us.
Yes, I do hear you.
Thank you and welcome, Dr. Chilea. Then I also have Florence Munguti from Kenya.
Good morning, good evening, everyone. Thank you.
Wonderful. So the 3 of us will be co-facilitating this particular African program, and I know we're going to have a good time. So the African session, this particular GARD 2023 is divided into 3 segments. The first segment is basically the introductions and the opening remarks. And then the second section will be about the infectious diseases. after which we will go to the second section or segment, which will be about food security and nutrition. I would like to take us now to the introductory segment of GARD Africa segment 2023. We are going to have an opening speech from the Director of Research at Egerton University, Professor Nancy Mungai, who I believe is with us today. I've seen that she's available. I'd just like to see whether she can be able to speak. Prof, I'm confirming if you can be able to hear me and speak from your end.
Thank you, Bernard. I can hear you loud and clear. I hope I'm also audible.
You are loud and clear. We appreciate it. Thank you for joining us today. We are going to give you a few minutes just to share with us about this, and also to be the one that opens officially this forum. I would like to provide additional information that we have speakers from across Africa, and the speakers are going to have keynote addresses, which is 15 minutes, after which we'll follow with question and answers. Then we'll go into additional speakers who do 10 minutes each, and then we will have a roundtable discussion for the first segment, and then we will transition into the second segment, which is about food and nutrition security. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, I'd like us to put our hands together or do a high five wherever you are, and let's welcome Professor Nancy Mungai from Egerton University, the Director of Research and Extension, to speak to us. Prof, you're welcome.
Thank you very much, Bernard. The organizers of this conference, participants, ladies and gentlemen, it's a great honor for me to join you virtually to offer our solidarity and our support for the work that GARD is doing. I note that it is a global alliance for rapid diagnostics, and truly, we do appreciate the honor that it is for Egerton University to be providing a leading role through our very own Dr. Bernard Olo. So we are very proud to be associated with GARD and to be associated with the good work that is going on through this organization. We have confidence certainly in what Bernard is doing and in his ability to offer leadership in this activity. Let me say that we also appreciate the role of rapid diagnostics tools and methods. And just listening to the first presenter who talked about what GARD is and the mission of GARD of coming up with the affordable, accessible, available diagnostic tools. It's a great mission, especially for many developing countries where diagnostic assessments are still a challenge. So coming up with tools that are able to provide rapid and early, and may I also say accurate diagnosis is absolutely crucial. We know that many lives have been saved because of early diagnosis. Many lives have also been saved because of rapid diagnosis. And we know that the converse is also true, when many lives have also been lost because of either delayed diagnosis or even inaccurate diagnosis. So I think the work that GARD is doing is absolutely crucial. Let me also say that the organization, being a consortium or a platform of professionals, researchers that are all drawn together by that one great goal of contributing to sustainable health is a great idea. And I believe that all the participants today and even other members who may not be able to join us in this call do benefit from this kind of a consortium, that you get an opportunity to inspire and spur one another to greater professionalism and to contributing indeed to to sustainable health, but also you get an opportunity to collaborate. As Director Research at Egerton University, we are very keen in seeking collaboration with like-minded scientists across the world. And so this forum certainly gives us that opportunity. And I want to commend Bernard and his team for giving us this opportunity, that would like to collaborate in research, would like to collaborate in academic programs. And we would like also to collaborate in coming up with innovations that address specific areas of interest. So we do appreciate this partnership, this growing partnership with particularly Michigan State University, who are the host of the GARD Global. And we do hope that this partnership will continue to benefit the two institutions and the scientists that are involved in this consortium, and that it will also translate into more awards and maybe more grants for research that will bring in the innovations that we seek to address the issues of sustainable health. When I first saw the name, the full name, I had to quickly look and see how is this connected with the major discipline that Bernard is in. He's a food scientist, and so I that food and proper nutrition is a key component for sustainable health. So I see also a great opportunity in working with the food scientists, even as we think about developing rapid diagnostic tools. These kind of tools are certainly required in all disciplines, even in assessing food quality and over time, and how this food contributes to the health of the persons who are consuming the food. So I'm very pleased indeed that Egerton University is a part of this, and we look forward to growing this partnership. And just to mention that Egerton University is a comprehensive university with many departments but we also have a faculty of health sciences. So there would also be further opportunities for GARD to collaborate with other colleagues in the wider faculty of health sciences, but also environmental science and resource development, education, law, social sciences, and commerce. So it's a comprehensive university that continues to seek partnership. And because I know many of the associates belong to other larger institutions, I bring this information to say that we look forward to collaborations in all areas of interest. So mine is to wish you a very successful seminar this afternoon for Kenya, and morning for those who are in morning, to wish you a very successful seminar. And it's my great pleasure to declare this session officially opened. Thank you, and God bless you all.
Thank you, everybody. I would like us to just show our appreciation to Prof by giving either thumbs up, for that very elaborate introductory speech. I have gleaned from what Prof has talked about the matters of the fact that rapid and accurate diagnostics can be the difference in terms of life saving or endangering life. I've also picked the fact that there is a continuing connection and connectivity that Egerton University is looking forward to exploring with the rest of the world. And that this is something that we are very keen on. I've picked that as well. And I've also picked up the fact that Prof sees this as an opportunity for us to continuously collaborate and probably be able to win more grants for the sake of our continued growth and for purposes of serving our communities and Egerton University is very pleased and honored to be part and parcel of GARD. With that, I would like us to transition a little bit to our first keynote speaker. And at this juncture, I would like to introduce and then invite Dr. Chilea Machawe, who is from Cameroon, who is going to introduce for us our first keynote speaker. And then after that, we will have a session to interact with the speaker in terms of questions and answers. So I would urge you also to put your questions or answers or comments in the chat. And then we will then transition into the panel of other speakers as well. So at this juncture, please, let's welcome Dr. Chilea Machawe from Cameroon to take on the floor.
Yeah, good evening, or I mean, good afternoon or good morning to some people in other part of the world. I have the pleasure to introduce my colleague, Dr. Tongo Marcel. He's a senior research scientist. He heads the Laboratory of Fundamental Virology with the Center of Emerging and Re-Emerging Diseases here in Yaoundé, Cameroon. Dr. Tongo Marcel holds a PhD in medical virology, and he is a postdoc fellow. He has won several research grants, among which the Santé Post to Independence grant that enabled him to return back to Cameroon and to set up a research team on HIV study and other viruses of interest. Currently, Dr. Marcel Tongo is a PI for the African Collaboration for Innovation in HIV/TB Prevention Association, which is funded by Melinda and Bill Gates Foundation to train next generation of African scientists. So Dr. Tongo will going to give us an address on zoonotic diseases, which are part of infectious diseases. So on this note, I invite Dr. Marcel to the floor. Over to you, Dr. Marcel.
Thank you, and greetings to all of you from the US, or let's say from across the world. Let me first share my screen. I don't know.
Dr. Marcel,
Yeah.
Is it possible to also kindly share your presentation on email to Chelsea? We can send you that,
I've done that.
email address.
I've done that. And then
He's
also trying to share his screen so that I can present from his laptop.
Let's send to Chelsea. Chelsea, kindly share your email address so that Dr. Marcel can be able to send their presentation over to you for sharing.
Yeah, sure. I haven't received it yet, but I will resend in my email address.
Jesse, I've sent it from my own computer. I've sent it to you.
Okay, I'm waiting for it.
Have you seen it?
No, I don't have anything. If you have it though, you can just share your screen and show it though.
I propose that we can proceed as once the email has been sent to Chelsea and she's able to get it, she'll be able to project. But I would request Prof to just proceed with the presentation, and we'll share the presentation with the rest of the audience when it is available to myself or Chelsea.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea.
Sorry for the inconvenience. What we'll do, we have just sent another email, just hoping that you will receive it. So I will introduce other speakers who are supposed to come after myself. So we have Dr. Mitalawi Nadia. She's a vet, and she heads the bacteriological department at the National Institute of Veterinary Medicine in Algeria. So she will share her presentation with us. We're waiting for the two other speakers. Dr. Nadia, back to you.
Yes.
So I'm going to enable interpretation. Dr. Nadia will be speaking in French. So if you all want to hear her in French, you will be able to click French soon, and if not, click English.
Okay.
So at the bottom, you should all see that you can pick a language, just so you don't hear two people speaking at once. But you can get started, Dr. Nadia.
Allô, Docteur Nadia, vous nous entendez? Docteur Nadia?
Hello,
Hello?
everyone. This is Anand, the translation team. Is everyone hearing me? Because I'm not able to listen to Dr. Nadia.
Yeah, I think they lost connection. They're not in the Zoom call anymore. It's not just you. They disappeared.
Okay, so
actually,
okay, no problem. I thought I'm missing something, so that's
no, just missing the speaker. Whenever they return, then we can enable the interpretation, but there's no one to interpret. Oh, I think they're joining back, but
Help me.
Dr. Nadia, can you hear
yeah.
us?
So I guess I have I have a small introduction of Dr. Nadia. If you
go for it.
don't mind, yeah. If you don't mind, I'll just.
Pardon, j'ai un souci avec mon Internet. Ça y est, je me suis connectée.
My phone is disturbing. The team tray is disturbing.
No, I'm following. No, let's try. I wanted to.
It's broken. The SIM tray is broken. In a way that when I'm putting it, I'm just putting a certain way. If not, it will not work or will get broken again.
Then how did you make the team try to get broken?
It's where I don't know whether it's that way Uncle was putting it last time that it happened or not. I don't know.
You handle.
C'est bon, je suis prête. Je m'excuse, j'ai une très mauvaise connexion. C'est bon. Je partage
All right.
We thank Dr. Nadia who presented a presentation summarily were on challenges with respect to achieving sustainable food security. She talked of the importance of food security, gave some highlights and the state of the play. She also mentioned some causes of food insecurity, among which conflicts and environmental and climate change. So we'll take question at the end. So I suggest that we go to the next speaker, who is Dr. Baisa, yeah. Dr. Baisa is a vet and a lecturer within the department, and he's heading the Department of Natural Sciences in Nigeria. So the floor to Dr. Baisa.
Oui, je suis là.
Okay, you're welcome.
I can speak English. S'il y a de la traduction, je confie Dr. Mariam Jelouli pour assurer la traduction.
Ok. Donc, vous pouvez présenter en français comme vous avez fait.
Hello.
Oui.
Hello. This is Suhila from the translation team. I will be translating for Dr. Baisa.
Okay.
Dr. Baisa, je vais traduire pour vous.
Yes, he's speaking, so let me figure it out.
Some of us cannot hear him.
Can you hear them now?
No, we cannot hear him.
Monsieur Baïssa, je pense votre microphone est
Wait,
éteint.
I have it for someone else. Is it? Wait, who's the translator?
Oh, yeah, it's Suhila.
Okay, I have it for the wrong translator. That's fine. How about?
Maintenant, je vous entends.
Okay, both people in the translation team should be able to hear him.
Soila, are you able to get us kindly? Because we cannot get Dr. Baisa.
So maybe we may go to the next presentation and maybe if time
I
permits
can
us.
hear you. I'm going back and forth between the people, but I'm honestly not sure why you can't hear them. Can both of you not hear him?
Yeah, it's like they are not hearing us.
Me neither. I've selected English and I can't hear him.
Well, yes, you would only be able to hear him in French right now. This is the translation team I'm confused about.
Oh.
So they cannot hear us.
Thanks, yeah, I'm not sure
They
because
cannot hear us.
I even see it on the side that you should be English and he should be French.
I suggest that we go to the next presentation.
Thank you. Please proceed.
Yeah. So sorry, we have to leave. We have to go to the next presentation. If Dr. Mohammed is ready, maybe we invite him to share his presentation because Dr. Baisa is having difficulty to hear us. He's not connected. He's connected, but he doesn't hear us. So is Dr. Mohammed ready? Are you hearing us?
Yes,
Yeah.
hello everybody. Hello everybody. I think Dr. Baisa is coming now.
Okay. So Dr. Baisa, are you hearing us now? Are you ready?
Comment je continue?
Non, non.
Vous nous entendez?
Allez, monsieur Baisa, comment ça va?
Alors.
Oui, Hussein.
Non,
Ok,
non.
continue alors, continuez.
On continue.
Oui.
D'accord. Je continue. Donc, c'est la première fois qu'on a rencontré la découverte de la maladie appréhensible dromadaire chez la population sahraoui ou bien la race sahraoui. Comme vous connaissez, dromadaire, le comportement de dromadaire, c'est le pâturage en extensif. Donc, le pâturage en extensif, le dromadaire, il trouve dans sa nature tout, c'est-à-dire surtout dans des conditions difficiles.
Docteur Baïssa, je peux prendre 2 minutes pour traduire. Je peux.
Go ahead. We are wasting time. Can you go ahead, the translator?
Go ahead, Mrs. Suhila.
I can hear you because you're on English.
Yes, we can hear them clear. Thank you.
Hello, Dr. Baisa. I think if you have difficulty to continue, maybe we call on Dr. Mohammed to start sharing his presentation.
Yes, I think that there are some technical issue with Professor Baisa. So if he can stop sharing his screen, I can share my.
What happened to Dr. Baisa?
I don't know. He have a technical problem.
I can't hear him in French. Can anyone hear him in the French side?
No.
Okay.
He's not.
Okay.
He's not online.
You can just start sharing your screen. I stopped their screen sharing.
Allô? Anam. Hey. أيوة.
Hello, everybody.
ماشي والاخر كيف هذاك
Yeah, we hear you. Continue. You can go ahead.
Huh?
You can go ahead.
واش قلت يا مريم؟
Vous pouvez continuer, mais il y a un discontinuement entre la présentation. Des fois, vous perdez la connexion, je pense. Monsieur Baïssa.
Oui, ok. Docteur Baïssa, on a perdu votre son. Votre son n'arrive pas, on n'arrive pas à entendre votre son. Donc, c'est pour cette raison, le traducteur n'a pas pu traduire.
فهمتك. اوكي.
Donc, parce qu'ils ont passé la parole au docteur Ben Hossein, Ben Aïssa. Après, donc, ici, il doit vous reconnecter بلا plaque بلا تسمعوا déconnecter ou connecter باش نشوفوا.
Non, non, حسين قال لي روح كمل.
خلاص اوكي d'accord.
Je continue. C'est bon.
Continuez alors, continuez. Déroulez votre, oui, déroulez vos diapos.
C'est avec Dr Benaïssa ou Baïssa, Mohamed?
Même sans traduction, continuez pour on va un peu résumer après.
Baïssa, avec Baïssa Bab El Haj.
C'est elle qui est sur l'écran maintenant.
Oui, Bab El Haj Baïssa sur l'écran.
Bon, vous continuez, docteur Ben Aïssa.
Baïssa ou Baïssa?
Baïssa, vous continuez, le diapo ديرها plein écran, s'il vous plaît. Vous continuez.
plein écran. هي plein écran. plein écran.
Vas-y.
راكم تسمعوا فيا يا أخي.
Oui.
Alors,
J'ai dit le dromadaire, j'ai dit le comportement du dromadaire. Dans le pâturage, on est surtout en extensif, il trouve tout. Donc, il mange, qu'est-ce qu'il trouve? Il mange ce qu'il trouve. Donc, il trouve, par exemple, dans les sociétés pétrolières, les sociétés pétrolières à Hassim Saoud.
Allô, docteur Del, vous nous entendez parce que vous êtes perdu là, on ne vous entend pas.
Docteur Baïssa, on a perdu votre son. On ne vous entend pas.
Allô, docteur Del. Si vous nous entendez, vous pouvez conclure pour permettre aux autres présentateurs de finir parce qu'on a pris suffisamment beaucoup de temps.
Je pense qu'il ne nous entend pas. Et comme ça, on va perdre beaucoup de temps.
Il est muté, il ne sait pas.
Ah oui? Dr. Chilien, Cameroun.
Yes.
Et la solution maintenant, hein, est-ce qu'on va
La
rester
solution,
comme ça?
je suggère que vous présentez, vous continuez et on arrive. Hello? Given the fact that we are having difficulty to hear Dr. Dell, I suggest that Dr. Mohamed continue with the floor. Je suggère que Dr. Mohamed prend la parole maintenant et présente.
OK. Est-ce que je peux partager mon écran? I can share my screen?
Oui, peut-être même en 8 minutes si possible, hein, parce qu'on a perdu suffisamment beaucoup de temps.
Ah, c'est pas de ma faute, hein?
Bon, allez-y alors, allez-y rapidement.
Just give me 1 minute to share my screen. Is my screen clear for you?
Oui, c'est bon, il faut continuer seulement. C'est bon.
Okay. So, hello everybody. I'm happy to present such short communication. I am Dr. Ben Issa Mohamed Hussein from Algeria. I am a research director in the Scientific and Technical Research Center for Arid Area. My main interest is camel reproduction and camel pathologies. I will present here the role of dromedary camels in transmitting zoonotic pathogens. Knowing that camels are unique amongst livestock species in their ability to thrive in arid environments, providing an important source of food and financial security to vulnerable community, particularly in the face of climate instability. So camel now is a livestock, but knowing that in the recent year, we was surprised that the Dutch government and the USDA has excluded camel from domestic animals. The decision came as a big surprise for the scientific community. The decision is not scientifically based because camels were used by humans for a long time, at least 5,000 years. And historically, camels production has long played a vital role in nomadic and pastoral community, but formalized production aimed primarily at lucrative urban milk market, as well as thriving international export market are increasing imports. Also, camels are distinguished by their long-distance grazing. They can transfer microorganisms across long distance and play a significant role in the ecology and circulation of pathogenic organisms. They are implicated in the transmission of zoonosis as biological and mechanical carriers and as a host and carriers of infected ectoparasites. Nevertheless, there is scarce knowledge regarding camel parasites fauna, which can reduce their milk and meat production. In addition, only scarce information is available about zoonotic disease transmitted to human via contamination. As we know also, the microorganism transmitted from livestock, including camels, bovine, ovine, and swine, to human account about 60% of human pathogens. We draw the attention of the scientific community and the health policy making organization to the role of camel that play in the epidemiology of zoonotic disease, also in the view of an increase in their farming in desert area worldwide. The most important thing in this decade are the change observed in the commercialization and intensification of camels. Of what was previously subsistence farming, change in traditional pattern, the distance that livestock and dairy production are transported, and change in favored breeds are very important. I will list some zoonotic disease of camels that can be transmitted from camels to humans. We can talk about the tuberculosis, brucellosis, trypanosomosis, Q fever, chlamydiosis, tetanosis, and a lot of bacterial camel, also parasitic disease, and like cryptosporidios, toxoplasmosis, echinococcosis. Also, we can talk about the viral disease, like Middle East respiratory syndrome coronavirus, MERS-CoV, the Rift Valley fever in camels, camelpox, and CCHF. All this, there are some zoonotic disease, and they are the major zoonotic disease transmitting from camel to humans. From the parasitology, we can find the cryptosporidia, the giardia, and also the blastocysts and other parasites that can cause damage in camels, also in the human health. And it can be transmitted as the foodborne pathogens like Toxoplasma, Gandhi, and also as arthropod vector-borne disease like Trypanosoma evensi or Trypanosoma curzi. We can talk about the Trypanosoma evensi because this is the major continent for camel production, and also it can be classified as a zoonotic disease. It is called Sura in camels. It can cause significant morbidity and great importance of productivity and mortality. But in Trypanosoma evensi has its highest prevalence in camels. We can find it in other species like horses, also goats, and other dogs and other smaller ruminants. But it expressed its highest prevalence in camels. Also, some human cases of Trypanosoma infection have been reported over the world in India and Sri Lanka, Egypt, and Thailand. I will be quickly passing some diaporama as the time is running. So this is the health state of camels after they have trypanosoma eventually from chronic or acute stage. We do a lot of camel blood sampling, and we do a lot of laboratory method with CAT tests or parasitological identification or biomolecular identification. And we did a lot of work on camel trypanosoma in Algeria and in different parts of the North Africa. And this is the species that can transmit the parasite, the tapanus. We found about 49% of seroprevalence in camels, and for the herd seroprevalence, it was 73%. So it was a high seroprevalence. And we do some phylogenetic and geographic distribution of trypanosoma evensi haplotypes in Algeria, and we compared them with different other haplotypes in different parts of the world. We can also talk about chlamydiosis. It's a serious problem, but it can, we have mentioned an animal seroprevalence about 2.5%. This is a field case, not abattoir studies, or this is a field studies, and the animal are coming from herds. We can also talk about Q fever. This disease caused by the bacterium Coxiella burnetii. Really, in camel, it not show a lot of sign or clinical sign, but it can cause abortion. And also, the bacteria was shed by calving, milk, urine, and feces. And it can cause a lot of disease in human. It can be, it can cause a lot of heart complication, bone inflammation, and in pregnant women, it can cause a premature delivery and death of fetus. And it can be transmitted by aerosol or oral transmission. We found about 71% of Coxiella burnetii seroprevalence in our studies here in Algeria. Toxoplasmosis also we found 15%. Brucellosis, yeah, it is a very, very, very big problem in over the world, and in Africa and in North Africa, it can be caused by camels, also by consumption of milk, camel milk, and fresh camel milk. I will be quickly passing some diaporama. We can talk about also about tuberculosis in camels and in human. It can be transmitted from camel to humans in the slaughtered houses or in the camel herd farming systems. Also, we did some studies about echinocosis granulosis in camels in the slaughtered house mainly. Also, we found in the field a lot of cases of camelpox, and it can be classified as zoonosis. Also, rabies. It can be transmitted from camel to human, and it can cause death directly. Also, we can, as in Algeria, we found as we have a lot of neighbor countries and camels don't, they are sharing their grazing over the two parts of Mauritania, Mali and Algeria in the south of Algeria, and we found a lot of cases of Rift Valley fever in camels, and it's a very dangerous viral disease in human. And I will talk also about the prion disease in camels. Unfortunately, Professor Baissa didn't have had some technical problem to talk about that, because this is his main subject in his communication, the prion disease recently discovered in camel by Professor Bab El-Had Baissa in 2018. And surely the MERS-CoV in camels. Sorry?
I think most people are not able to see your slides. I don't know whether you are moving through the slides or you're showing only one slide. Can you do slideshow mode?
I don't know what is the problem. I was dispatching my slides of it was.
دكتور بعيسى بن عيسى كاين عندك واحد ليكون كاين ليكون اللي تحت قدام الاخر تقدر ديرها اون بلان اكرون باش يقدر
Je l'ai fait en plein écran. In my computer, it is a full screen. I don't know what is the problem. It was in full screen in my computer. I don't know.
Try it whenever you're doing it to share screen instead of a specific window. So just leave it on share screen.
Just continue. Continuez seulement pour finir et puis comme vous avez commencé, continuez.
Okay. And we talk about also the CCHV, the Congo hemorrhagic fever virus infection in camels. I don't know now. You can see the screen. I am sharing my screen in full screen.
No, we can say it.
Oh, I don't know the problem, but
okay.
We can see it now.
So I was talking about the CCHV, the Congo hemorrhagic fever virus infection in camels. And we found this case in southern Tunisia. Also, we can talk about the anthrax. It can cause by this bacteria, and it can cause a lot of problems in mainly in farming system, in the extensive system here in Algeria. So as a conclusion, unfortunately, I was thinking that you are showing my screens, but I don't know where is the problem. So in conclusion, in this study, different report of common zoonotic disease and infection in this does. So as did you see my screen? No? Are you seeing my screen?
Yes.
This
Yes, we
does
see.
not have to be set
Please
up
proceed
from
now.
scratch. Algeria already has veterinary surveying surveillance for infectious disease in place at livestock markets, slaughterhouse, and butcheries, and in wider farming community for another species. It also has clinicals and hospitals reporting infectious disease in people. So the system exists and are mandated by trained staff. What is needed is to increase the national surveillance program for camels, increase awareness for zoonosis, better diagnostic supports, and better way to record, share, analyze, and interpret data, and closer integration between human and animal health sectors. And thank you for your attention.
Okay, we thank Dr. Mohammed for this presentation. So we invite Dr. Miriam to hurry up, and because of time that we have wasted due to technical problem, we invite Dr. Miriam to present her slides and share with us.
Okay.
Dr. Miriam, you're welcome.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. Good morning and good afternoon, everyone. I am just waiting that Dr. Ben Isa move his screen.
Okay.
Stop. Yeah, okay. I will share my screen. Okay, just a minute. So, good morning and good afternoon, everyone. For my presentation, it's about just a study of cutaneous leishmaniasis evolution in Algerian steppe and pre-steppe Saharan region, which is become a big issue in our country and in over the world. We skip this. So, for some statistics about this disease, in 2019, infectious and parasitic disease caused about 14% of death, with 1% of death is caused by parasites and vector-borne diseases. Nearly 60% of all emerging infectious diseases are zoonoses. This number is expected to increase due to several factors. We can set environmental, ecological, climate change, socioeconomic factors, and especially globalization. Nearly of this, half of these diseases were linked to changes in land use, intensification of agricultural practices, change in food production practices, and the hunting of wild animals. If we took, for example, between the 1919 and 2016, the increase of zoonotic and vector-borne disease outbreaks has been associated with the deforestation, mainly in tropical countries, and reforestation mainly in the temperate countries. So this animal disease can cause loss of livestock and their production, which is directly result in a shortage of animal products for human consumption. So this will affect directly human welfare, but also the livelihood of rural families whose incomes heavily relate on farming, especially in Algeria, in the steppe region. So if we look in general in statistics reported by WHO, we have out of 200 countries reporting to WHO are reporting to WHO the infectious diseases about parasites. In about 98 countries or territories are endemic for leishmaniasis. We can say 71 countries for visceral and cutaneous leishmaniasis, 8 countries for visceral leishmaniasis, and 19 countries for cutaneous leishmaniasis. There is a risk of infection for 10% of the world's population, and approximately 12 million people in 88 countries are affected, with 2 million new infections and 70,000 deaths per year. In the same year, In 2019, 12 countries reported more than 5,000 spontaneous leishmaniasis, including Algeria, with over 10,000 cases, which thus ranking Algeria's second largest outbreak in the world after Afghanistan. So it's a very ongoing issue. About leishmaniasis disease in general, it's a neglected tropical disease. It's now it's known as a major emerging public health problem. The transmission of the disease is caused by to the human and other mammal vertebrates, hosts, especially dogs, marsupials, rodents, and other mammals, is via bite of mosquito, which is called sandfly or phlebotom. This is general overview of the biological cycle. Because of time, I will not explain technical because you are, I know. So the disease can cause lesions. In general, there are skin lesions which can persist for months, sometimes years. Usually develop within several weeks or months after exposure. Occasionally first appears years later. In case of immunosuppression, the lesions are painless, but typically involve from papal to nodular plaque or plaque to ulcerate lesions with a raised border and central depression, which can be covered by scab and crust. Some lesion persists as nodule. The healing process typically results in atrophic scarring. This studies was performed in the region in Algeria, which is called steppe region. This region is covers a total area of 20 million hectares. It's a large region and it's endemic for this disease. For the methods used in this study, we just collected the data from the Department of Health and Population in local Department of Health and Population in each province belonging to the steppe region, and from the official website of National Institute of Health Public Health in Algeria, from the period from 2010 to 2017 for all provinces of the steppe region, and just we have updates for until 2020 for the province of El Oued, which is situated in southeast of Algeria, and which is it's a new foci in for this disease. We analyzed for the data to assess the incidence of the disease by time and geographic distribution, and in order to highlight the most endemic provinces. The number of the it's human cutaneous leishmaniasis cases that we have collected. The information on the number of human of the cases and the age, gender, and location of each case are collected also. We perform a descriptive epidemiologic analysis to presented in the table, which will be displayed next. And we analyze we're using sample tools, which is Microsoft. So I will escape this table. Just as a result, we have detected that we have 3 provinces in this steppe region, which are named respectively Msila, Biskra, and El Oued. Biskra, which is in black star. It was this is our old foci of cutaneous leishmaniasis in Algeria, but we know nowadays we have 2 other new foci of leishmaniasis, and they are very. We noted the increase of cases with exceeding 10,000 for human cutaneous leishmaniasis. This is just the map showing the situation, geographic situation of these provinces, which are limit of which show that these 3 provinces are bordered, but this explain the spread of the disease and the increase of human cases in this case. If we took just the new foci of leishmaniasis is El Oued province, which is bordered with Biskra, and we show the increase of incidence. Sorry. Yeah. The number are in this province are exceeding that 12,000 confirmed cases in 13 commune or municipalities. This the most affected municipalities are we have 3 of them, which are bordering with the steppe region and with the Old Fawzi, the Mghayr, and the Jam'a and Sidi Amran. So if we look for descriptive epidemiology, we saw here that people aged between 20 and 41 are the most affected by this disease. So, and how to say, male are more exposed to this disease than female. This is due to some cultural practices and habits in these regions. So the increase in cutaneous leishmaniasis case in Al-Wad province can be explained by their geographical location bordering the province of Biskra, the former of zoonotic disease, which is still active until now. And this province, it's bordering with, it's 190 kilometers far from the region of most affected by this zoonotic. The province of Sila, which also shows the increased incidence over the past decade, the lack of epidemiological studies in leishmaniasis in farm animals, and the difficulties of controlling stray dogs and rodents in this region, and the absence also of adequate health surveillance and the control of infected animals caused this, that leishmaniasis was being diagnosed more frequently in your region. So, which make the possible spread of its pathogen as well its vectors easy to establish there. The development of the sandfly vector also is coinciding with the occurrence of cases seem linked to the continuation of deforestation and urban expansion, which is intensified in recent years. And finally, supported by a few studies we have reviewed about leishmania vectors have led to suggestion that there are possibility of presence of new animals reservoirs hosts, especially domestic animals, aggravating the epidemiological situation and emergence of a new foci in Algeria and other places. As a conclusion for that, the extension of cutaneous leishmaniasis in the steppe region and pre-steppe Saharan region presents an opportunity to explore its evolution and better identify specific risk factors for transmission. To better understand the complex issue of these zoonotics with complex epidemiology and ecology, we suggest some studies in order to perform. The first one, we can perform the in-depth literature review in order to really know the gaps in knowledge, to conduct an epidemiological study, prevalence and risk factor related to the spread of this disease. We have to the decentralization of the diagnosis of disease toward areas known as free, because nowadays no area is free from any disease. Even we have to prospect even the endemic areas in order to detect expected or unexpected reservoirs. The main thing is entomological survey, which is mainly we have to perform this in different ecosystem of the region, and blood meal testing, because the steppe region have different ecosystems. So we have to perform many entomological study surveys in this region in order to detect to study the behavior of the vector of this disease. We have to monitor epidemiological trends and assess the impact of changing agricultural activities on reservoirs, vectors, and human exposure. This aims to update the epidemiological profile of leishmaniasis in Algeria and how to say it, update all in the world, globally in the world, the zoonotic, which is a very big issue, not in Algeria also, but in Afghanistan, in America Latin, I think, because in Brazil, So we have to perform, to update, each country have to update its epidemiological profile of this disease in order to solve or to have to find solution for the issue. I just attached here some references in case you have need and you need, and thank you for your attention.
Okay.
I finish.
Yeah, we thank Dr. Miriam for this very brilliant presentation on a very important topic, cutaneous leishmania evolution in Nigeria. So,
Yeah,
well, due to time factor, what we do is to we'll be asking questions for all those who have already presented. Maybe we give ourselves 5 minutes because it's actually time to go to the next session. So maybe let me just start with a question to Dr. Miriam. I saw one of your slide figure showing a decrease in prevalence of the disease. So what explained that from 2010 to 2020? It was like a kind of decreasing in prevalence rate.
Just I will share my slides in order to just a minute, please. The decrease is we have because this region, especially in West Province, we have some development in agricultural system. So I think just let me share the slides in order to.
Okay, while she's looking for that slide, I want to ask
I have just
okay, all right, okay. Yeah.
Which
okay.
slide, please? This one?
Yes, and no, yeah, no, the other after. Not this one, not this. Yes, this one.
This one?
No,
okay.
Before. Yes.
This one.
This one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here, because in the from 2010, the local authorities have performed some programs in order to make biological control of the vectors. But progressing in years, these programs have stopped until 2017. We noticed that the cases decreases, and until 2020 we have the increase of cases, which is noticed that because we performed some review, there is the program of biological control have stopped, and so we have some migration of rural population to the north, and some changes in the development of agricultural system. There are some new development and change which were performed in these places. So for that reason, we noticed that the cases are becoming to increase for the I think
okay. Okay, it's all right. It's okay. So can we pick 1 or 2 questions for other speakers so that we can go to the next session, because we have already we have taken more time than necessary. Any question for Dr. Mohammed or Dr. The best presenter, Nadia.
Okay.
Yeah. I have a question for Dr. Mohammed. He talked about the role camel is playing in transmitting zoonotic diseases, and it's actually So I want to know how do you help the those who are in the who are not educated in the remote places, who are using camels maybe for transport and other things, and may not be aware of the fact that this animal carries so many diseases and exposes them to those diseases. How do you do with them? Comment vous faites avec les... Okay, you have understood, right? Okay.
Yes, I think here in Algeria, camels is multi-purpose animals. It is used for milk, for meat, and it is used for festivals in the tourism activities and different other utility. And we are now doing some awareness activities to mention that camels is not really it has his immunity, yes, but it can be carried a lot of bacterial and viral pathogen that can cause zoonotic disease in humans. I don't think if I don't know if I respond to your question well or I did.
It's okay. Okay, it's all right. It's okay. Yeah. So at this junction, due to time factor, we
Hello, Dr. Chilia, do you have a challenge?
Oh, sorry, I muted myself. I was saying that due to the fact that we have lost a lot of time during the first session, we would like to proceed with the second session, and I invite Florence to go ahead coordinating this session. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Chilia, and good evening, good morning, everyone. I hope you can all hear me. Please confirm.
Yes, we hear you.
Yeah, thank you. I would like to really appreciate the wonderful session that has just been concluded, despite the challenges we have faced. And I want to take this opportunity to welcome you all to the second session, where we are going to talk about the topic on food security and nutrition. And we have a keynote speaker and other speakers after that. And the first keynote speaker, I would like to introduce him, is Dr. Endewa Andrew. Dr. Endewa has a lot of experience on issues of SPS and standards, and currently is a director of standards in Trademark Africa, with over 2 decades of experience in developing and implementing quality on SPS systems in Africa, and all the issues of food safety and advisor at Food and Agriculture Organization. He has also a lot of experience, practical, in terms of implementing the same standards with various programs in private sector, having worked as a food system expert and for various business operations in East Africa. He holds a Bachelor of Science degree in agriculture from the University of Nairobi, and also a graduate certificate in plant pathology in crop protection from ICIP. He holds advanced diploma in food safety from Royal Institute of Public Health, a master's in food safety and quality, and as well as a PhD in sanitary and phytosanitary services from the University of Greenwich in the UK. Dr. Endewa is also a postdoctoral fellowship on TBT and SPS matters at the University of Missouri, USA, and a current guest lecturer supporting postgraduate program in food safety quality at the University of Nairobi. So ladies and gentlemen, join me in welcoming Dr. Andrew Edewa to give us a keynote address on this particular session. Thank you. Dr. Edewa, please.
Yeah, thank you very much. I'm not sure you can see me, but let me show my face a bit. Can you hear me? Please confirm you can hear me.
Loud and clear, Dr. Edewa, please
Yes.
proceed.
Thank you very much. Yeah,
Yes.
I don't want to repeat my introduction. I will go straight to the subject to save on time. I work with Trademark Africa, and I lead many programs. This is a development programs supporting food safety, animal health, plant health systems in the continent, as well as the standards and quality infrastructure. We are currently the largest trade facilitating organization globally. So we work on trade systems, but then we work to ensure standards and sanitary and phytosanitary measures, including food safety, do not become a problem in trade, but rather are used as a trade facilitating tools. With regard to today's topic, I just want to link this important subject of food safety to public health and trade, so that we all can see the importance of rapid diagnostics and why it's important that they become part of the official control systems. I'll share my screen. And when you see it, please confirm that you can see it on your end. Florence, at least you can confirm you can see my screen.
Yeah, yes, Dr. It's coming. I think it should be almost there. Thank you. We can see it now.
Okay, so I would like to speak about the food safety in simplicity, and how this has an impact on public health and trade, and why we must all be concerned about this important topic. So unsafe food that's not safe has very serious problems, implications, because it creates a vicious cycle of disease and malnutrition. And this is not what we want to hear in this century, and especially with the global goals of zero hunger and eliminating malnutrition. We really have to make sure that our food is safe, because while we work so hard to produce food and to increase productivity, we lose a lot of food again through it being unsafe or it being of poor quality. This would create a vicious cycle of disease and malnutrition, which becomes a burden to any country. And the people who didn't suffer the biggest impact are the infants, young children who are under 5 years, the elderly, the sick. Much as under the global standards program on Codex, we have standards for nutrition and foods for special dietary uses. We enhance nutrition aspect of food. We still have a lot of problems, especially in our continent in Africa. So it's not a lack of standards. It is then how these standards are applied that really is the problem in our continent. Foodborne diseases are on the increase, even when we think that the governments and the private sector have played their part to implement food safety systems. These foodborne diseases continue to embed socio-economic development, and they have overstretched our health systems seriously, to the extent that the governments keep on focusing a lot on equipping their medical laboratories to diagnose the disease. And the problem then is that most of these diseases are related to food, and so they are foodborne illnesses. Food supply chains now also cross the borders. So food produced in one country can be consumed in another country. And if there is a contaminant or a food hazard, it can cross many borders within a short time. And so it becomes a global crisis. We have had these problems already when we have rejections of produce going for trade in different countries in Africa. They're not able to access high value markets because of the risk that these products pose because they are unsafe. It could be due to mycotoxins in nuts, pesticide residues, in most cases for most of fresh produce. It could be heavy metals in fish and other horticultural produce, and it's a big problem. The list is long. But it's another problem of the antimicrobials. This is a major one, and it's becoming a serious problem in our continent in Africa. While governments have put efforts to manage diseases, zoonotics, and to make sure that animals are healthy, both for food security and to facilitate trade, this problem of antimicrobial resistance is a big one currently in our region. Governments have come up with strategies, but still we are faced with a real challenge. And it's now one of the biggest topics we are discussing at the international standard setting agenda in Codex and in other places. Overuse and misuse of antimicrobials has also been noted, and this is a challenge that cuts across all communities because of lack of awareness and lack of choices that can be used to effectively address animal diseases. This has led to resistant bacteria in the populations, and it's very difficult to control some of this with the conventional antimicrobials. The net effect now is we have antimicrobials both resistance both in veterinary health as from a veterinary public health aspects, but also from a human health aspect, because continual consumption of small doses of the residues of antimicrobials in food of animal origin has led to additional problems in the public health. This burden has then become a major issue across many of the African economies, and foodborne diseases therefore remain a real challenge. It's a big threat, and it's a big topic now in public policy. The main problem we have in Africa is more on pathogens, pathogenic contamination of food, but we also have increased cases of chemical contamination, mostly leading to cancer. Cancer is a major discussion in many countries now due to accumulation, due to the chronic effects of chemicals in food. This calls for new technologies, and although a lot of research has been done by scientists, as many of us are in this forum, this scientific information has not found its way to improve on public policy or even the practices by the private sector. So we need to have new methods of communicating these risks and ensuring that action is taken immediately. While we are doing that, we still have many instances occurring. Just a few examples that the food safety problem is real, and it is more urgent now that we address it than waiting. Scientists, policymakers, and food business operators must act immediately. This problem is not unique only to Africa. You can see if you go right now to the World Health Map, which is a live map on internet, and check the health situation around you, you will see many of these things popping up. And if you point to any of those bubbles, you will see many of the disease threats. When you check details of the disease threats, 70% of them are foodborne illnesses, foodborne. And it's important that we take the subject of food seriously, improve the safety of our food, the quality of our food, in order for us to have food security and improve nutrition. Just apart from the public health, there's the trade impact. The global nature of food trade makes it necessary that consumers can get food from any part of the world. Actions happening anywhere, in any continent, in any country, can affect consumers anywhere. And we must all be concerned. It's not a problem of one region, one country. If there's a problem of food safety in one country, these hazards can be transferred quickly, and the risks can be felt by consumers in any part of the world. A single source of contamination may become widespread in a very short time, and there are several consequences to this. And there are also several new sources, as we have heard today, from researchers, that there are many new sources of foodborne illnesses, and these are increasingly becoming a concern in international trade. New standards have been set, stringent regulations have been set by many countries, and now this is affecting exports and imports. It's no longer possible for you just to move food across the borders without stringent checks. It has become so expensive that the export trade now is one of the biggest challenges for our economies. This means that we have to see where the problem is. Let's assume that when you hear a food safety problem, that what you see is just a small thing, a tip of the iceberg. We must ask ourselves, at what population is at risk? When we hear of a food safety problem like cholera outbreak, or we have a rejection of a product somewhere in the market, what population is at risk? How many are exposed? Because not all people at risk are exposed. So how many have been exposed by same when you see a reported case? But are there people who could be suffering but have not shown any clinical signs? But how many people are sick, especially men, because they don't go to the health system to be checked? So how many people are sick and have not been seen in the official health system for purpose of reporting? But even if they are going to the health system, how many have actually been seen and samples taken, stool samples, blood samples taken and cultured? And if we culture this, have we been able to identify which is this foodborne disease cases and link them clearly to the food that was consumed? Because this needs to be linked. If we don't know, cannot link this diseases with the source of this hazard, it's a waste of time. Much of our research will not mount to improving the public health aspects or even the nutrition aspect of this food. We have to be able to link. If we see a standard population because of malnutrition, we should be able to link that with what they eat as well. And so this is the scenario that I wanted to speak about, for which all of us must be concerned. And in Africa, we have taken important steps to address this. However, challenges amount. I have a fairly old slide there on some old research we did in the US with the US Centers for Disease Control. And they were looking at the big five pathogens associated with low moisture foods. Vibrio, in most foods, Vibrio, Campylobacter, Listeria, Salmonella. We also looked at different foods. We looked at food of animal origin, and we looked at low moisture foods like grain, bread, and those kind of foods that don't have enough moisture. We'll also look at food with what we call low acid foods, where bacteria can easily grow. And as we look at all these foods, we discover that a lot of controls have been put in place, but it's difficult for us to see whether the controls are effective or not. We need to be able to validate. If you are given this data and you want to analyze the effectiveness of the control based on what should be done, you'll be confused. Look at the data here. It seems that 2015, Vibrio was so high, and then it goes down. Then again, it seems to increase, and the same applies to all of this. As a scientist, this is very difficult data to interpret. It shows that we must really, as scientists, begin to think that look for new methods, new ways of addressing this problem. It's not just about identifying the problem and knowing what to do about it, but there are so many other factors, environmental factors, the trade factors, public health factors, and other emerging issues that affect the performance of the food control systems. Therefore, as I come towards the end of this, we are saying that it's very complex. The public health issue on food is becoming very complex. This complexity compels us to look for different perspectives and approaches to address this food safety problem and nutrition problem. We need various tools. We need current, short-term, and long-term way of thinking and collaboration in food safety. This means that we must bring all actors together in a whole chain approach from production all the way to the consumer, farm to fork, farm to mouth, the whole chain. We must be able to identify these risks, what can cause a problem to human health, and be able to address it. It calls for active involvement of all stakeholders, all of us, academia, researchers, the practitioners, food business operators, the policymakers. And we must implement known tools, but also look for new methods of addressing these challenges. This means that we need to have continuous surveillance that looks at the value chain, the food supply chains, identifies the hotspots in advance before the problems occur, and carry on a continuous surveillance. This is surveillance that limits ongoing illnesses and goes back to identify where problems can occur within the food supply chain. Only this way shall we achieve a higher food safety objective. Ladies and gentlemen, I know that time is fast spent, and I don't want to take a lot of time. I can address more of this through the question and answer session. But you can see the role of research, the role of rapid diagnostics to identify where problems occur and to carry out clear disease surveillance and identify where along the food supply chain of these hotspots, put in place measures that are effective in a new way of thinking. So we need to look at, therefore, risk assessments. We need to look at everything, traceability and transparency. I want to stop here because of time, and I'll be able to address more. I know that my time is fast spent. I was given 15 minutes. I don't want to go beyond that. Thank you very much. Over to you.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Andrew, for your wonderful presentation. And I think this helps helps us join to the next panel of speakers under this keynote address. And I would like to request that we have our questions ready either on the chat box or wait for the Q&A section, which will follow after the rest of the speakers. So ladies and gentlemen, this session, the following speakers, we have two of them who are not available currently, but that means we only have two more speakers who we are going to give them only 10 minutes because of the time. And then after their presentation, we are going to have the Q&A session. then we can all of us ensure that we have all the questions answered. So I would like to take this opportunity to welcome the next speaker for this session, Dr. Alex Sabuni. He is currently the acting managing director of Kenya Veterinary Vaccines Production Institute. And I would like to give him this opportunity to take us through the topic that he has prepared for us today. So welcome, Dr. Alex. Are you with us, Dr. Alex? And have you shared your slides kindly? Please let me know if you can hear us.
Thank you so much, Florence. I'm sorry, I'm actually trying to adjust my video setting, but it's I'm not successful. I've actually tried to also join using my phone so that you can see the person that who is making the presentation. That is me. My name is Dr. Sabuni Alex. I'm currently the acting managing director for the Kenya Veterinary Vaccines Production Institute. And I want to take this discussion to a notch higher, because I'm happy that the first session, there's a presenter who talked about diseases, leishmaniasis, and other assortment of diseases that are affecting different animals. And I could hear him mention camel being disregarded as a domestic animal. In Kenya and in Africa, camel is a very key animal, especially in the drought-prone areas. And so I'm waiting for Chelsea. Could you please upload my presentation, please? Or, okay. So the presenter was just come before me, was talking about the issues of food security. And when we talk of food security of animal origin, I want to start by mentioning that a few days ago, we had media reports in Kenya talking about most of the meat, that is pork and chicken meat, being affected, being found to have bacteria. And some of this bacteria is resistant to antimicrobials. And this poses a big risk to the consumers of meat. And I want to maybe look at what are the safe alternatives to use of antimicrobials so that we are not running into this problem of food safety, especially of food of animal origin. And therefore, I'm looking at vaccine manufacturing in Africa. What are these companies that are doing the vaccination, manufacturing vaccines? Are we achieving our potential as vaccine manufacturers? And what are the challenges that we are facing, and how can we enhance vaccine production in Africa? And to start the next slide, I want to show you that, please, the next slide. Yes, this is actually looking at the population of different animals, starting with poultry. You're looking at a population of 2 billion birds in Africa. This is a big number, followed by the goats, which is 489 million. We have sheep, which is 418, cattle and pigs. And this is just but to name a few of the animals that are commonly used, especially for livestock for domestic use. Next slide, please. When we talk about vaccine development, I just wanted to just give an overview of the vaccine development process. And typically for veterinary vaccine, it's a bit shorter time compared to human vaccine. So veterinary vaccine, you're talking of 3 to 6 years. Human vaccine, you're talking of up to 10 years. And there are different phases along vaccine development, which starts with the early conceptualization phase. Then you're talking of coming up with a product, you have field trials, You have now assessment on issues of efficacy, issues of safety, and then you are submitting dossier for registration. And this process can span all the way to the 6 or so years. If you look at the next step, maybe at the inception part, the next slide, please. At the inception, maybe vaccine technology terminologies that are common. When you talk of cell-based vaccines, these are vaccines where you use different cell lines to grow maybe bacteria or virus and use that to make the vaccine. We have those which we call egg-based vaccines, where you now grow the virus in an egg, embryonated eggs. We have broth-based vaccines where you prepare a broth and you grow the bacteria, and commonly these are mycoplasma vaccines. Then we have recombinant vaccines, and these are the newer technologies that COVID came up with. That is the messenger RNA vaccines, the DNA vaccines. Then we talk of second generation vaccines. Second generation, these are the vaccines where you are combining 2 vaccines in one. For example, a company called MCI Morocco, who was our competitor, they have a vaccine called Liopox. Liopox is a combination of sheep and goat pox and PPR vaccine. So 2 vaccines in one. Those are what we call second generation vaccine. Next slide, please. What is the vaccine development like? I wouldn't dwell so much on the technicalities, but this is just looking at the basics of vaccine development. You have a pathogen, then this pathogen, you're growing it either in cells, in broth, or either in egg, embryonated eggs. Then you come up with what you call a culture, and this culture can then be purified, it is inactivated, it becomes a vaccine. For the vaccines that call live attenuated vaccines, the pathogen, you want to take it through some series of making it, the pathogen, less lethal. That is a process we call attenuation. To an extent where now you have a culture, and this culture can be, you can either add now what we call adjuvants, or it can be freeze-dried, used after mixing with stabilizers, and you have a freeze-dried vaccine, or you have an aqueous vaccine. Next slide. What is veterinary vaccine manufacturing in Africa like? We have both public and privately owned organizations that are dealing with vaccine production. And these vaccines, they target various species, where you're talking about ruminants, equines, aquaculture, porcine, we have companion animals. But most manufacturers in Africa are so much into livestock, as opposed to these companion animals, that is the dogs and the cats. And various technologies are employed, and this we just mentioned: live attenuated vaccines, we have inactivated vaccines, we have toxoid vaccines, we have recombinant vaccines. And if you look at the market for the vaccines in the Middle East and in Africa, you're talking of a US dollar 424 million worth of vaccines being sold between 2021 to date. And this is projected to even increase up to 599. And this could explain the reason why the multinationals are very keen on Africa as a market for their finished product, that is the vaccine sale. The next slide. Who are these vaccine players in Africa? We have in Morocco, we have a company called MCI, Sante Animale. In Egypt, we have 2 companies, that is the Veterinary Serum and Vaccine Research Institute. We have Mevac Vaccine, Mevac company that is in Egypt. Next. We have Kenya Veterinary Vaccines Production Institute, where I work, and we are the the largest vaccine manufacturer in the region, that is in East African region. We have National Veterinary Institute, that is in Ethiopia. They're also doing manufacturing vaccines. We have Hester Biosciences. This is a new company in Tanzania. They are also manufacturing vaccines. Next. In Botswana, we have the famous BVI, Botswana Veterinary Institute. We have in South Africa on the Teapot, we have Design Biologics. And in Nigeria, we have the National Veterinary Research Institute, that is in Nigeria. These are just but a few of the companies that are manufacturing vaccines in Africa. And when I talk about vaccine manufacturing, you find that a number of these companies are doing end-to-end product. That is starting from the raw material all the way to the finished product. A number of them are doing what we call fill and finish. And in fill and finish, they are just doing the final step, maybe working with multinationals, so they get bulk antigens, and so they just expand and finish the process. Next slide, please. What are the challenges of veterinary vaccine manufacturing in Africa? I want to mention that globally, if you look at Africa, in terms of vaccine manufacturing, we are way below our capacity. We have the market, the demand is there. But if you look at our capacities in animal industry, we are a bit advanced compared to human. But we are way below our potential because of a number of challenges that affect us. And the key one is the intense vulnerability. We are over-dependent on foreign supplies. And when I talk of foreign supplies, I'm talking about raw materials. I'm talking about finished products. We want to import already finished vaccines just for us to bring and sell. Raw materials, you find that even for us who are doing manufacturing, more than 50% of our raw materials are coming from the West, China, because we are unable to have this raw material produced locally. Issues of equipment, biggest suppliers of equipment, UK, India, at least South Africa is trying because we have equipment like bioreactors, freeze dryers coming. At least South Africa is coming up. But most of the countries, we are over-relying on countries outside Africa for the equipment. High cost of vaccine development. If you look at the developed countries, they're ready to invest through different programs. Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, they're putting a lot of money in research. They're putting a lot of money in supporting those companies, even to come and market their products here in Africa. But what about we ourselves? What are we doing? We have limited our expenditure on vaccines and gone for a cheaper option. Also, we have issues of market fragmentation. You find that for you to make sensible economic impact and remain afloat, you find that you may get into producing a vaccine that is only relevant in a region or in an area, which economically may not make a lot of sense. And therefore, there is less attractiveness towards manufacturing it. The need for building workforce capacity. How many universities are teaching vaccinology, training technicians, technologists, scientists? You find that we are over-relying on the West in terms of scholarships, in terms of training opportunities. We have a very limited workforce. Absence of long-standing mobilization of the vision. And in this case, you're looking at the cost of putting up a vaccine manufacturing plant is enormous. No investor or national entity wants to put money there because they feel if we can buy these vaccines from multinationals outside Africa? Why not just buy and consume? So that vision of building institutions that can supply the country and beyond is what is missing in most countries. But I'm happy that COVID has taught us a lesson. And now many companies are coming up in vaccine manufacturing, especially human, and probably it will cascade also down to veterinary. Next slide, please. The issue of political will to invest in public health goods. People are looking at infrastructure like roads, which will bring the money, will translate to votes, but they're forgetting that public health is very key, because who are the voters? It's the public. Are we keen on looking at their health challenges? If we are keen on that, then we are going to solve the issue of vaccine challenges in Africa. Absence of enabling policies, to incentivize investments, high taxation, the raw materials are not available for government entities who are into vaccination, vaccine production. You find that government itself is a bureaucratic institutions. So you find when you get into this business and you want to compete with people who are at another level, the private sector, you find that your hands are tied to some extent. But if policies will be enhanced to support institutions that are getting into this, both private and public, including helping them source materials that are cheaper costs, giving them incentives or like subsidies, then you are able to overcome this challenge. Changing disease environment. If you look at issues of global warming, diseases are changing. Today you are coming up with a vaccine, tomorrow the vaccine is not working because whatever is in the field is different from the vaccine strains. So it keeps on pushing the costs of vaccine development and production up, and therefore discourages the issue of investing in vaccine. Socioeconomic challenges, you're talking about poverty, spending patterns of people. Most of the livestock owners, you find livestock is associated with the not so wealthy members of the community. These people are economically empowered. They will promote the vaccine market by buying the vaccine. Next slide. So, as I finish, what is this that will take the continent to manufacture more vaccine of its own? I mentioned the issue of incentivizing research and development, and also in production of vaccines. Coming up with funding, calls, opportunities, where people can even be, because right now we have limited training opportunities within the continent. So instead of waiting for call for training, for scholarships coming from out, why can't we sponsor our own, take them out, get this knowledge and domesticate it and expand the knowledge? Why can't we invest in research, so that Africa is actually, we have, because of our good environment, we have most of the livestock disease, animal diseases. Why can't we focus on building capacities in that area? Technology transfer, partnerships with existing and developing prospective companies, increasing collaboration among the vaccine manufacturers. How can we work together so that we can transfer knowledge? We can support each other, especially for the players in Africa. How can we remove issues of overtaxation and give incentives, like subsidies? Because sometimes you can produce a vaccine, but there's no market, or maybe because like this year, Kenya, we've had drought, so uptake of vaccine has been low. The manufacturers who've produced these vaccines, how can we help them so that they are up and standing, cushion them, from unexpected market dynamics that may act negatively and discourage even more production. How can we protect the markets for African players? Because multinationals are keen, they're coming in, they're bringing their products. They're even pushing some of us to just do fill and finish for them. How can we try to have our own producing vaccine end-to-end production? Budgeting, how can we support institutions come up with the vaccine production is a heavy investment. You're talking of big machines like bioreactors, you're talking of lyophilizers, which are freeze dryers, which are worth millions of dollars. How can we also support them so that their feet? So as I finish, I would say in the next slide. Next slide, please. As I finish, I'll say, Africa, we have a great potential in vaccine manufacturing, especially veterinary vaccine manufacturing. And the benefit of this vaccine is very key towards ensuring public health and animal health and ecosystem health. And that is the One Health perspective that we look about. So we are not just focusing on animals. Look at zoonotic diseases which cross from animals to humans. We are controlling these diseases before. So this is the primary healthcare. The market is big. We have a huge population of livestock. If you look at Kenya, for example, we're just touching around 20%. We have a all bigger potential. Look at, and this is a profitable venture because Africa, we are growing rich every day. We have a rich livestock resource industry. There is a need to domesticate this science. There is need to domesticate the business. There is need to look at it from both health perspectives and business opportunity perspective. And that is why multinationals are keen on doing business with Africa. And therefore we have a choice. Either we continue being over-dependent on these multinationals who are bringing in new vaccine, or we support our own so that we create a veterinary vaccine independence. Last slide, please. So I would want to, that is the last. So I would want to say it is upon us as we are focusing on our health. We are focusing on antimicrobial resistance. We are focusing on food safety, especially food of animal origin. Why can't we prioritize veterinary vaccine manufacturing and use so that we have healthy animals, which will translate to improved health of humans because of controlling zoonotic diseases. And also, as we are controlling diseases in animals, we are also ensuring that we have a good livestock production potential, thriving industry, which translates to livelihood protection and wealth creation for our continent. So thank you so much and enjoy the rest of the session. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Alex, for your wonderful presentation. I would like to take this opportunity to let you know that we're still having the Q&A session, so please don't go too far. So we want to introduce our very last speaker, Dr. Nadia, and we would like really to request you, Dr. Nadia, to try to adjust on your time and see that we're able to finish our session on time. So you have only 10 minutes, if that is possible. We shall have all the questions captured in the chat box or during the final Q&A section. So I would like, ladies and gentlemen, to introduce to you Dr. Nadia. She's a holder of a degree in veterinary medicine and currently at the National Institute of Veterinary Medicine. And she is currently also responsible for biosecurity components in our laboratory, involved with a number of aspects relating to biorisk management, as well as development of diagnostic capacities, innovations, and research. So we would like to give this opportunity to you, Nadia, to take us through your wonderful presentation. And thank you, and proceed kindly.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everyone. My presentation talk about developing challenges for sustainable food security. The definitions of sustainable food by FAO is great, nutritional, adequate, healthy, and safe, protective and respectful of biodiversity and ecosystem, in socio field, culturally acceptable, and economically viable, accessible, and affordable. The importance of food security is essential so that all individuals in a society can be healthy and develop their full potential, regardless for origin, age, gender, social class. Given the role played by livestock as a driver of agriculture and food sector development, as a lever for major economic, social, and environmental changes in food systems around the world. Particular attention will be given to the role of bringing in these ways forward. The principal causes of food insecurity, there are two most important, such as conflict is a direct threat, such as the conflict between Russia and Ukraine, which are the world's leading wheat exporters. The second causes is the environment and climate change, such as Madagascar faced the most drought in 14 years in the south of the country in 2021. About challenges and perspectives of food security, we decline improved animal productivity, selection of animals with advantageous phenotypic characteristics to produce more milk and meat and resist disease and heat. The second challenge is the diagnosis and prevention of disease. Animal diseases are an obstacle to trade in agricultural products and affect the economic of developing countries. Molecular techniques with their high level of sensitivity and specificity have great diagnostic advantages. The third challenge is the monitoring and improving animal nutrition, focusing on improved nutritional strategies, better management of nutrition waste on the livestock farms. The fourth challenge is improved reproduction by artificial insemination, which can increase breeding efficiency, lower costs for the farmer, and reduce the risk of disease transmission between animals. Cross breeding cattle breeds can improve meat and milk production. The measurement of progesterone helps to diagnose non-pregnancy, and the ultrasound can be used for the diagnosis and treatment of infertility and reproductive disorders. Improve who are ENV? Who are we? The National Institute of Veterinary Medicine has the essential mission of providing technical, logistical, and scientific support to veterinary service. The mission is ensured by a network of 7 laboratories, 1 central veterinary laboratory, and 6 regional veterinary laboratories. ENV missions are declined on provides specialized experimental diagnosis of animal disease, and particularly disease deemed
Hi, Dr. Nadia. I hope you not faced a challenge. Are you okay?
Yes.
Are you able to proceed kindly?
Carry out epidemiological surveys and participate in the establishment of the national epidemiological map. Find against zones in liaison with the institution and organization concerned. Participate in the development and execution of prophylactic animal protection programs provided through laboratory analysis and expertise, the health control of animals product or product of animal origin of import and export. Participates in the quality and health control of animal products and food intended for animal consumption through laboratory analysis and expertise. Carry out emergency interventions and in the event of threats to animal health poisoning and or food poisoning. Validates analysis results, carry out experiments and expertise in veterinary pharmacy, carry out studies and applied research. Me, my connection is
Not stable.
Carry out studies, applied research in the veterinary medicine, carry out popularization and veterinary health educations, action by all appropriate means, ensure the publication of any magazine, brochure, or bulletin related to these activities. The central veterinary laboratory and the regional veterinary laboratories constitute the cornerstone of all the logistical means of support for disease and control program and ensure the management of official laboratory controls of animal products and all of animal origin at import and export. ENMV is designed by the IUA Regional Reference Center for Africa Food Safety. In conclusion, the major challenge is cooperation that must evolve into long-term partnerships built around shared governance. Food and nutritional security is subject to structural, social, economic,
Nadia, perhaps you can just speak through the slides. I think it was your last slide.
Yes. The major challenge in cooperation that must evolve into long-term partnerships with around shared governance. Food and nutritional security is subject to structural, socio-economic, political, and even environmental constraints to be lifted requires significant collaboration between all actors in society and in various sectors of activity, including research and innovation. Thank you for your great attention and excuse me for the connection.
Thank you very much, Nadia, for your presentation, and apologies for the challenges you have faced during your presentation. So, ladies and gentlemen, we've come to the end of all the speakers for this session. We really appreciate the speakers who have presented in this session, starting with the keynote address by Dr. Andrew, who highlighted key aspects of the food safety, the importance, the implications in public health, as well as trade, and a number of call to action towards the end of his presentation, and especially also the aspect of really focusing on the food supply chain and bringing all the actors together. We also had a very wonderful presentation by Dr. Alex on the issues of vaccine production, and we were able to appreciate what is the current status and the future prospects. And also the final presenter, who has given us highlights in terms of the aspects of the challenges in sustainable food system, highlighting number of direct and indirect threats that are caused by these issues. And also the call to action in terms of the end of the presentation. We've seen that management and control programs are key. And I think in all this, we really appreciate that rapid diagnostic comes in, because we need to know what challenges we are handling before we come up with the solutions from the same. So I would like to really welcome all of you to this Q&A session. And first, perhaps I would like to mention the questions that were captured. You can mention your questions directed to the speaker you want, and if you have general questions as well, I think this would be the right time to do that. So I had captured a question directed to Dr. Andrew, which was, the question was, which preventive measures can reduce or eliminate overuse or misuse of antibiotics in veterinary and human medicine? I'm not sure whether it was to Alex or to Andrew. Then there was a question on what is the role of rapid diagnostic methods in vaccine development. I think this was specific to Dr. Alex. So perhaps we would like to take response to these questions and then capture any other additional questions from the participants. Thank you. Dr. Alex, would you want to go first?
Thank you.
Dr. Alex, sorry.
Thank you, Florence. I've seen the question. What would be the role of rapid diagnostic tests in vaccine development? When you look at vaccine development, and when you look at disease surveillance, that is disease diagnostics, there is a very thin line, because vaccine development, you are dealing with a live virus, you are dealing with an antigen, what we call a seed that is translated to an antigen as a candidate for vaccine production. When you're doing diagnostics, what we are calling a seed is the pathogen which you're trying to diagnose. So you realize that during quality control, quality assurance, there is a thin line. And that is why if I give an example of foot and mouth vaccine production in Kenya, that is in Embakasi, we actually sharing labs with the foot and mouth diagnostic labs, because the tests that they carry to determine the effectiveness or to detect which virus strains we are using for vaccine production, the same you can apply using the rapid test kits. Sometimes when we're doing vaccine performance matching in the field, with the newer technologies, we are not only using rapid test kits for just detecting disease, but we can still use the same, because we are looking at being able to pick, if it is PPR, you're picking tears, some body components that could be potential for carrying the virus that we're looking for. When you're looking at vaccine performance, you're looking at still the same. This time we are focusing more on serum. So this cuts across. There is a very thin line. Most of the equipment that we use in vaccine production development are the same equipment that are used in diagnostics. So I would say this is key. We are using it, and it is even helping to for us to help get the results in the shortest time possible. I would also want to mention about the other question. I think maybe Andrew will also contribute to. What are these methods, these ways that we can adopt to be able to minimize antimicrobial use? I'm talking about issues relating to animals. Vaccine is very key. We currently are carrying out a campaign among the pastoralists, and we are telling them, if you can sell one goat, you can vaccinate 99 if you have 100. That one will help you control the disease for a whole year. So sell one, save 99, yeah? So vaccination is very key. It's a very practical way. Vaccines are very safe. There's no withdrawal period. Another method, people are breeding for resistance. Looking at animals like, I'll pick an example. Looking at red Maasai is very resistant to helminthiasis, and especially hemocausis to be specific. So when you breed for resistance, you're minimizing chances that may expose you to using these antimicrobials. Because maybe when you see bottle jaw, you think this is a sickness, maybe it's just worm infestation, but you'll go, you find farmers are putting penicillin, tetracyclines. So when you're breeding for resistance, then also adopting disease control methods. Among them, spraying, you're controlling tick-borne infections. Movement controls like what we experienced during COVID, and it became very clear. Movement control minimizes the spread of disease, therefore it will help manage infection. This, we call it biorisk management. So there are many other methods. Nutrition, when an animal is in a good body condition, it will fight off disease on its own. So proper nutrition. Nowadays, companies are coming up with what we call probiotics and things that can enhance immunity and therefore minimize use of antimicrobials. As I finish, I want to mention that in Africa and maybe Kenya, in this case, you find that if you do a survey, you realize during disease outbreaks, there is a heavy use of antimicrobials. These disease outbreaks can be prevented through all these methods I've talked about. If it is a tick-borne infections, if it is cases of blue tongue, it's transmitted by mosquito and other flying, lumpy skin the same. If you can do spraying, you can do proper deworming so that the animal is in good body condition, you've done vaccination, then you have minimized the risks of disease outbreaks, which will now may lead to use of antimicrobials. So thank you so much. I'm ready to answer any other questions emerging. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Alex. Perhaps do we have any other question directly to Alex so that we can finish with him before we go to questions linked to Dr. Andrew? Any question from the participants or comments? Feel free to speak up or maybe put it on the chat box. If we don't have any questions, maybe we can now give this opportunity to Dr. Andrew. I know there was that question that was to be answered between you and Dr. Alex, and then there's a second question directed to you on the issues of food safety in local markets situations. And the question is, how do we limit or reduce disease transmission considering the sanitary conditions of these local markets? To you, Dr. Andrew, I'm sure this is your bread and butter and you'll be able to answer the question quite well. So up to you, Dr. Andrew.
Yeah, thank you very much about that. The question of local markets should not make us begin to fear our own food. Rather than looking at it from a negative food scare perspective, it will offer an opportunity to implement the basic principles of food safety in any place. Just as you can do in your house, you can do the same at the marketplace. You can do the same in a food business establishment. So we have got the classical cases of wet markets, systems, or street vended foods arrangement through different countries. Now they have come up with policies and strategies to make sure that all food that's presented for sale on the street, in the wet markets, in the open markets, has specific guidelines for basic principles of hygiene that allows them identify within their own confines where they source this food, how they prepare it, and how they present it. So this is not difficult. The same way you can do it in your own establishment, your own house, preparing food for your guests and for your family members is the same principle that should be applied at the marketplace. So, but this calls, of course, for two things. One, creating awareness directly of all the market actors, those who supply and those who buy from the marketplace, those who sell from there. The second one is a deliberate system, building a deliberate system that is based on a specific standard which should be developed as a national standard or a requirement and a regulation that allows for a basis for inspection and control. So all people who come on the marketplace should be registered, and this registration should follow specific criteria that allows them to meet preconditions, requirements that then allow them to sell. And then they should constantly be followed up to check whether they meet those requirements constantly. And requirement for traceability, that should there be a problem, we are able to trace back where that problem came from. So each actor at the marketplace should be able to say where they bought their supplies and whom they have sold to. It should be important to know that. And the buyer should be able to always know also where they bought their food. And this will bring about discipline. And I don't think that it's difficult. We have seen it working in a number of countries where market systems have worked. We have seen the same also for the hotel, HoReCa, the hotels, restaurants, and cafeterias. This has been implemented also, specific guidelines, and we have implemented this like in Rwanda, where they will see the HoReCa system for hotels, restaurants, and cafeterias, basic HACCP, HACCP system built in their food preparation and the sale. So I can speak a lot about it. I'm happy to share information specific to this. Perhaps you can share my email address to the interested parties when they want to hear more information about the same. So I hope that's satisfied for now. Over to you.
Thank you, Dr. Andrew, for answering those questions. Do we have any other question from any of the participants? Any questions to Andrew or to Alex before we go to questions directed to Dr. Nandia? I think I'm not able to see any question or any hand raised. So maybe we can have questions to Dr. Nandia so that we can finalize on this Q&A session. Do we have any question or comment to the last presentation in this session? Sorry, can you hear him? Are you able to hear me? Apologies, this is not my voice today. I have a very nasty cold, so I'm just hoping people are able to hear me. Sorry. I think I'm not getting any feedback. Dr. Andrew, are you able to hear me? I'm scared perhaps I'm not being heard.
Yes, we are hearing you. I can hear you.
Okay.
Yes, yes.
Okay, thank you. Do we have any final question or general question to the presenters of the first session and this session before we do the closing session? Okay, thank you. I think, no, sorry.
Yeah,
proceed.
Yeah,
It's me.
Yes,
Maryam. I want just to ask Dr. Alex, are there any vaccines for leishmaniasis or no? Developed vaccines for leishmaniasis, not for dogs, for other animals. Is my question is clear? Okay.
Thank you for that question.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for that question. I've not come across any vaccine on leishmaniasis. Leishmaniasis has not been a so pronounced disease, especially in my country, Kenya. But we have pockets of Nakuru and Baringo County where we have leishmaniasis, predominantly in dogs, and now it's being reported in human beings. So because of public health concerns, maybe soon we are likely to have a vaccine. Maybe also I can mention that, interestingly, the way the health systems work, you find there is a special consideration on especially zoonotic diseases, like now anthrax, like rabies. So you find in most cases, there's a heavy concentration on zoonotic diseases and even including funding for research and even for vaccine, for disease control, for focusing on more zoonotic infections, as opposed to these other normal animal-related infections. So maybe soon we are likely to have the same. And it will be interesting also because it's becoming a disease of importance, leishmaniasis, and soon probably we'll be heading there. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr.
Thank you, Miriam. Thank you, Dr. Alex. Any other question, even to the previous speakers on the first session? Please feel free. I can see Mohammed is unmuted. Do you want to say something? Okay, I think if we don't have any other question, I would like to take this opportunity to hand this program back to Dr. Ben Olo so that he can guide us on the next part of the finalization of this program. Unless there is anyone else that has not spoken, I think Bernard seems to be a bit held up somewhere. Is there anyone that we may not want to close before they say their final remark or comment? So if we don't have, maybe even as we wait for Ben, I would like to take this opportunity on behalf of the moderators to really appreciate all the speakers that we have today, and also for all the participants, especially for your persistence, because I've really been checking. We have maintained the number. We've not had few or many people leaving. We really appreciate your presence with us here during this Africa session of the GARD. It's the start, and we hope that we continue working together and collaborating in more things in the future. And for today's session, I acknowledge we had a few challenges as we started, and we want to appreciate, because we know challenges are opportunities, and we are going to ensure that in future we are able to also improve on that aspect, although some of the challenges are beyond our control. So just to, as we wait for Ben, please, Ben, when you're in, please let me know. Maybe a summary of the session today. We had the opening session by Professor Nancy Bansi, who has given us the overview of the GARD and the goal. And also we had the opening remarks from Professor Nancy, who emphasized on the need to collaborate, especially on areas of rapid diagnostics. She also touched on issues of proper food nutrition as a key issue for sustainable development. And most of the things she revolves around seeing us ensure that we continue to collaborate in our areas of interest to solve the challenges we are facing in Africa, and also highlighted the way rapid diagnostics makes a difference in saving lives. We also had the first session on emerging diseases, where we had a number of speakers who took us through issues and majorly focusing on animal diseases. We were able to see a number of diseases, including zoonotic diseases, and emphasis was given on having the importance of rapid diagnostics to ensure that we have solutions to manage these diseases. Then we transited to the second session, where we had issues of food safety and nutrition as the opening keynote address. And we have really seen a lot of interesting aspects revolving around food safety. And one of the major key things I picked was the aspect of, if we have issues in one country, then another country is also in trouble, because we have the aspects of trade coming in. So all of us have the responsibility in our countries to ensure we have food safety, not only for our countries, but also to ensure other people are also protected from such. And we also transited to a presentation on vaccine production, which has also attracted a lot of interest from all the panelists and as well as participants, and seen a number of questions coming in and well responded to. So thank you everyone for your patience. I don't know whether we still have Ben with us now so that he can guide us on the next session. Bernard, are you around?
Yes, I am around. Once again, I want to allow us to congratulate all our speakers for a fantastic job done today. Indeed, there is a lot to share together as, in terms of the African position in most of these things that are happening. I really appreciate the presentations all together, and especially as many people have shown a lot of interest in the area of food safety, because food safety cuts across everything that we are doing. They are saying one of the mantras that we have now in the area of food safety is that it's either we have a safe food or definitely none at all, because safe food is not food. So this is something that is becoming very important. And one of the things that are happening like right now, I'm in a meeting where we are harmonizing the standards for the East Africa with regard to certain food safety issues. So food safety cuts across, Africa altogether, and it's very important that we begin to work on this all as one. I would also like to take this opportunity to appreciate our keynote address speakers, Dr. Marcelo and also Dr. Andrews, for taking your time to be with us today and to share with us all the plethora information that we have gathered from you. At the same time, it's also my pleasure to appreciate my two co-facilitators today, Dr. Florence and Dr. Chilea, for the good job that you've done in terms of helping us with the transitions. I also want to appreciate the fact that we had different speakers, including the French speakers. I understand the challenge that we had at the beginning, but I believe that this is an opportunity for us to realize the richness that we have in Africa, so that we can be able to work better, collaborate better, and to appreciate the fact that we have definitely different parts of Africa, and we have different languages to be able to express, but all together be able to continue to work together for a common ground and a common position. Last but not the least, I'd like to appreciate every single one of you who is still here with us on this call today. Your time here is very important. I hope you've been able to learn something from our speakers, and I hope that we are going to continue to collaborate. You have now probably had a chance to listen to somebody and seen areas where it's possible to work together. And I believe that it is possible through GARD that has brought us all together to reach out in terms of contacts towards anyone that you'd like to communicate or connect further. And this contact's available either through me if you'd like to ask me, or even the speakers that are here. There was a time to interact, and I hope you've been able to share accordingly. I would like to say thank you very much for attending the African session of GARD 2023. It is a great privilege and an honor to have you. And I believe that even as we transition into GARD 2024, there are lessons we picked that we're going to be working on to make sure that we can present even a better front in the next year. In the meanwhile, this is not the end. This is just the beginning of making sure that we have more solid and more focused interactions. I would like to invite you tomorrow to another session, which would be the Africa-Asia session, where we are having short courses that are offered between Africa and Asian continent, and of course, Michigan State University. Please check out on the calendar and make sure to be there. Otherwise, I would like to take this opportunity and take this session back to Vanji or Chelsea so that we can be able to close this and then proceed to the next segment. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you for the organization.
Thank you. Wonderful, wonderful group. Very excited. Until now, you still have one of the biggest groups in the GARD forum. Thank you, Ben. Thank you, Florence. Thank you, Chilia, for your leadership in the GARD Africa. And I just want to thank you, the speakers. I know there were challenges, but you did your best, and I just want to appreciate that. And thank you for the participants here. Now we are moving to the next session, and as Ben mentioned, there's an Asia-Africa short courses tomorrow. We'd like to invite you to that. And if you are interested in becoming a member of GARD, let us know. Let Florence, Chilia, Ben, anybody here who are members, let them know or send me an email. With that, I just want to get back to Florence to finally close the session. I think we are closed now, right? So we formally close the session. Thank you so much for your attendance, and have a great day, a great evening, or a great morning over there. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye.
Thank you.
Goodbye. Goodbye.
We look forward to seeing you at the next session.
Yeah, we hope.
Yes, we hope that.
All right.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.